Hi everybody, you're listening to the Khandaan podcast by the You Podcast team, a bi-weekly podcast revisiting the movies of Amir Khan, Salman Khan and Shah Rukh Khan.
Every show we pick a random year from 3 decades of collectively 300 films the Khans have done and let our listeners vote which movie we should talk about. So it's entirely up to you.
Pick a team, make a vote, take us down nostalgia lane, punish us, or make us reassess a movie we dismissed.
We love the Khans, most of us, sometimes. And we would love for you all to be part of our Khandaan, because when it comes to the Khans in Bollywood, nothing else really matters.
Okay, let's talk about all our lack of joy.
Yeah, welcome to the Corona episodes, guys. Yeah, I think, you know what I was thinking? Like when we started doing these Corona episodes, I never thought we were going to do them for this long. You know, like, because we... You know what I mean? Yeah. We it was just kind of like a throwaway idea that, you know, like, let's check in with each other and, you know, because I mean, we all lead busy lives. The podcast is not like, we don't get paid for it. We don't do any fundraising. So we need to kind of balance where we're creating content and we just need that space. But like, we had more time. So we were thinking, you know, like, just check in and put this, like, you know, record it, and it's fun for people. But this morning I was like, how long are we still going to do this? You know, like, it's just like, it's really weighing on me. And I think this news that Sushant Singh Rajput passed away this morning, and actually even his IMDb has already been updated. So it's quite, I mean, it's all fresh. And when I read about it this morning, I thought, you know, maybe it's a rumor, you know, maybe it's just gossip, but it seems to be confirmed right now.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. I mean, the best way to remember him is through his work, I guess. And like, people will, you know, keep how we know, like the Indian media wants to treat its celebrities and movie stars when they go through stuff like this, is just, you know, write loads and loads of speculation stuff. And it's just such a disrespect to the artist. You know, when Sridevi passed away, and that went on for days, and that was like fodder for their, you know, TRP ratings and stuff. And I just hope that people don't do that and respect the family's time in grief right now.
Yeah, and it's just sad because it still felt that he was still gonna like break through or have like this moment. You know, there was like always like he was bubbling, but you know,
he did have his space in the spotlight though. Like even though it wasn't as big as what Ranveer or Varun had, he did have, you know, some sparks with his starting movie that was Kai Poche, and he did some, you know, look like the protagonist of that movie. Then we had the Yash Raj movie Should They See Romance, and Byomkesh, and I really loved him in Byomkesh. And I think the past couple of years he's been really trying to break through. He did the movie with Sarah, and he did the Dacoit movie with Sonchiria, which I really highly recommend people to, you know, find and check it out. It's fantastic. He's left a body of work, but it's really sad to see him go at his, you know, before probably we will never know if it was his prime or not, you know.
I think like he was like, I wasn't like, I've mentioned before, like I wasn't his biggest fan or anything, but I've never disputed the fact that he was like immensely talented and he had like so much going for him, and he, like, you had this feeling like he could cross genres, you know, like you could believe him as a romantic lead and you could believe him as an athlete. He was believable in pretty much all his roles, even if the choices were outlandish, like that reincarnation drama that he did with Kriti Sanon and Jim Sard.
Rabta.
Yeah. So like he could do, like, he stretched as an actor and he could do different things, and I really appreciated that about him. And there was a feeling like that he could do things, he could do like a variety of things. He wasn't limited in a way that certain actors are, Some actors are really just sort of limited to a certain genre or a certain kind of film. But you kind of had this feeling that he'd be at home in a big budget film. He'd be at home in like more independent cinema, and he'd do a good job. He was a very reliable actor, and he put in the time and the effort. I mean, he's been acting for so long. He put in his time for years in like one of Ekta Kapoor's serials, and then he did like tiny roles in movies like PK. And then he did, Kai Poche, and then he did Sonchuriya, which was like one of the best reviewed films, although like, most people didn't see it. So there's this feeling that he could have done so much, but again, Sujoy says, sorry, go ahead.
No, so go ahead.
No, like Sujoy says, like now it's just going to be sensationalist drama, and I just feel so bad for his family and friends because they have to deal with that bullshit.
Yeah. I mean, here is a guy who's only 34, and all of us in this podcast are older than him. So it just puts things into perspective, what goes in through, young or old, what people go through in the, in the grind of the movie industry is just crazy.
Mm. And like, it's like, I think just this week, I was seeing some fan account make fun of Deepika Padukone and her mental health issues and how she was raising it. It was like shitty, like really one of those shitty videos that I don't even know how they land on my timeline, but I see them and I'm like, what the hell? It was like, they mixed in Ranbir Kapoor character Dheela with shots of Deepika, like, what is this depression? Agar hum kare to character Dheela, like it's just many breakups. And now it's like, Sushant Singh ka breakup ho gaya tha na. And I was like, how can you see one thing and not see the other thing? And last thing we discussed with Sushant was probably Drive, which was a terrible movie. I remember the jokes I was making about his dancing on Bomkesh Bakshi, right? But like losing a life at such a young age, that's just terrible and diminishing, mental health and like all of these issues that these guys are going through. Like I remember there was this show of, what is it, Asian Paints, where they show off their house, and he had an episode. And I was watching it. And
I saw that as well.
You saw that, and he just seemed so lonely in that, like in his apartment and stargazing. And you look back at it and then it hits you. And there was just some sort of like loneliness in him, right? And I also think his I
mean, retrospectively you can
yes,
that,
yes,
I guess.
definitely.
Yeah.
So retrospectively you kind of try to connect it out because it makes no sense what's happened. So you try to make sense out of it, right? So it's, he was kind of like a different kind of guy, and I think that was always clear with him. So I mean, it's just sad. It's sad. It's this year sucks. And I know his manager also passed away through suicide. Like even last week, there was like a little news item that kind of flashed. So yeah.
When was that?
I think it was just this week
last
or the week before. Yeah.
Wow, really?
Yeah. And a young girl.
So these kind of things, like these kind of things, like they have a ripple effect. So I just want to say, like, if anybody who's listening to this podcast, if you're having some kind of thoughts, there are resources and we'll link to them in the show notes. But if you need help, then there are, like, you need to take that first step. I'm sorry, like, I know that's tough, but you need to take that step. And I want you to know that you are worth it. And like, I come from a family where mental health is always rather precarious, and I've had multiple people in my family, my close family, who have died by suicide. And I know that it's not something logical, that it's just brain chemistry. So it's nothing that you are doing. It's nothing to do with you. So if you're having those thoughts, please use one of the resources that are available to you, and I promise you that things will get better.
Yeah. And also specifically for guys, I would also say, I feel there's still a stigma with brown men and, that we don't seek out help. And I mean, we watch so many movies, and life is sometimes like an agnipat, but sometimes you can also, there's also tools for it, and it's not a sign of weakness. And I know, like, even we're doing this podcast, and a lot of people say, we've had this feedback, you guys feel like friends to us, right? It's like having people that we hear every week and we feel connected to you. So, if you are struggling, like Amrita says, and if you are a guy, if seek out help. Like, the lockdown doesn't stop you. There's even online possibilities out there to get counseling, grief counseling, trauma counseling, generational issue counseling. There's tons out there, and I think if you just get it filtered through the media or like your friends that, they'll give you pills. Like I heard that, they'll just give you pills and you'll get addicted. And there's so many these old ideas still about therapy that are totally not valid anymore. So it's terrible. But yeah, if you are struggling, please seek out help,
And also turn off your TV. Because it's, I saw somebody on my timeline had posted a clip from one of the news shows. And I don't watch TV. I don't watch TV wherever I am. But I especially don't watch TV in India. Because, and this is why, because this particular clip was some entertainment journalist who called into, the news program, and they were asking him if he had any insight into the situation, and I had to turn it off literally 10 seconds in, because the guy was just like, yeah, he committed suicide. First of all, don't say commit, but committed suicide, and I don't want to use the word weak, but like blah blah. And I was like, what the hell are you doing? Like, why? Like, you're a journalist. At least have some idea of how to address issues like these on TV, because there are millions of people who are watching what you have to say, and this is the language that you use. And when a celebrity dies, like, this is fact, when a celebrity dies, there is always a ripple effect, and you never quite hear about it because those people are not famous. So you won't hear about it's literally like tens of people who are affected by this, and just don't do it. Just be a little, like, if a celebrity dies, be sorry, express your sympathy, and then, like, leave the family alone. Not everything needs to go towards your TRP. It's disgusting.
Yeah. Well, anyway, Sushant Singh, rest in peace, what can we say? Let's move on a little bit, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always weird to segue after such sad news, and it's.
But I'll also say, Asim, because like I was thinking about it, like at times like these, it is important to remember that there is a life that is not always misery, because it feels like, especially this year, it's just one thing after another. As terrible as this year is, like, it just, I think it is important to remember that to celebrate the better parts of life, honestly.
Yeah. And I think even for us, like, why we're doing it, to give us a break and give, our listeners a break from all of this stuff that's happening. And I think sometimes we just need to take a minute to at least acknowledge it. But, we also then can move on. And it's also important for us, you wake up with terrible news every day, but then I speak with you, it makes me happy. And other people listen to us talk to each other, and it makes them happy. So yeah, let's move on a little. Yeah. Sujoy, man, you and me watched Gulabo, Sitabo.
We did.
Amrita, you
From
did not watch Gulabo, Sitabo.
Not together.
Even after
I didn't. I didn't even need to tell you guys that I'm not watching it. Like, you knew it already. Like,
yeah, although I was subtly pushing
this.
you in that direction. Like, dekh lo na, dekh lo. Free man, dekh lo na. Nothing going. Nothing giving.
No.
And I think you were right on the money. not to watch it.
I'm quite surprised that it's got people being positive towards it and finding some, not only rays of hope, but a whole load of sunshine in this movie. And I just feel, I just couldn't connect with the movie at all.
I was
talking about this with Beth yesterday, and I was telling her the reason I think, because I saw the trailer, right, and entirely based on the trailer, I was like, this looks like shit. But the thing is, like, everybody who's praising this this movie so far is people who are talking about what a great actor Amitabh Bachchan is. And that is basically just going back into this whole loop about, like, you know, put on some prosthetics and ham it up and everybody be like, wow, kya performance hai. And that's basically what I'm getting out of it. Am I right or am I wrong?
So here's my thing. I hope I'm not true, and I hope... I'm just saying, I hope this is not the last Amitabh Bachchan performance that we see. Because if it is, then I will never forgive Sujit Sarkar.
Why are you saying that? Why are you making my heart break? What is this? What
I'm
is
just
this based on?
We are living in 2020, you know?
Yeah.
Bad things come to my mind.
Dude, like you shook me. Like, what is this? Like...
I'm really sorry. I brought this to the podcast.
Sudden darkness, man.
From like 1 to 100. Like,
yeah, like, dude.
I mean, that's what happens. You see the frail frame of Amitabh Bachchan. He's falling every second. He's got this huge nose which bends his center of gravity to the front, right? That's the effect that is bringing, like, the whole... The movie star of the millennium. That's how I remember. That's how I will always remember Amitabh Bachchan. And he's been made into, like, he's been dying in the last, I don't know how many movies that he's done, you know. And I just really, really hope this is not. Oh, well, I won't say it again. You know what I mean.
No, but to get to Amrita's point, I think. And I was thinking this when I was watching Gulabo Sitabo, because I agree with you, and not of that hamming part, but I was just watching Amitabh and I was saying, you know, in the last few years, there's been a lot of, like, criticism of Amitabh, and from our friends, from you, from Beth, from people that I, like, and you know me, that I'm a very big Amitabh fan. And I was watching his performance and I was like, there's people like Kadir Khan will say, like, oh, Amitabh is only big because I gave him the dialogues. Rishi Kapoor will say, oh, he's only big because he took all the best roles, or he's not a good he's not a good patriarch of his family, or he's toxic, or somebody was saying he's spineless, that's why he can play a hunchback so well. But I was watching it and I was like, dude, like, there's nobody like him. Like, I think it's one of the best performances I've seen in a while. And, like, it's this guy, like, like, compare it to, like, my mind went to Shah Rukh Khan and Zero to like, I don't know why it did, because it's just that hiding behind, like, prosthetics and not being the stars, that kind of thing. And I was like, there's nobody like Amitabh. There was never anybody like Amitabh, and he's such a good actor. Like, I really, we were making fun of the makeup, right? And, like, how it was copied from this guy in Delhi and stuff like that. But I was totally lost in the performance. Like Ayushmann was saying in an interview, like, he was not nervous playing against Amitabh because when he looked at him, he didn't look like Amitabh. And I was totally lost in it. Like, I didn't get any hamming. I didn't get, like, the artificiality of the prosthetics. I was just like, wow, this guy is, like, one of the greatest actors ever. Like, my love for Amitabh was like, oh my god, like, this guy, like, what he's doing. And compared that to with Ayushmann in the movie, which you guys know I don't like that much, and he's playing exactly the same guy, the same kind of, like, arrogant, short, snappy guy, like, the Vicky Donor, or even closer to Dam Laga Ke Haisha, that kind of thing. Somebody who's not happy with his life and is just constantly lashing out. And for me, nothing in the movie except that worked. And there were a few laughs. There were a few moments that I really laughed at the movie. Like, it was funny. There were quite a few lines, and a lot of them coming from Amitabh. Like, when he realizes how much money he should be getting on a monthly basis and how much he is getting, and he kind of like falls from the amount itself. And it's just like physical comedy at that age. It's almost like takes you back to like Namak Halal or something like that. The guy when he's like chasing his shoe in the river, and he's like, at this age he can still do this. It's a skill, and he has it. And
we talked in the last episode about Kabhi Ha Kabhi Na and Shah Rukh jumping from heights, and you were always like, Shah Rukh, nahi, take care of your knees.
Yeah.
That was me every single time Amitabh was falling, like, arthritis, no, take care, and he does that a lot in this movie.
Yeah.
Okay, this is making me want to watch this film.
Okay, so shall we say the bad things?
I'm going to say that it did not work for me,
It didn't work for me either.
After all that praise.
Itna chada ke.
No, but like, the thing, it's one of those movies where, like, this phrase that I hated, it's like the city is a character. The Haveli is a character in the movie. So this is that movie. The Haveli is a character. The Lucknow is a character. So, and I think a lot of the positive praise is from people that love that old shit, like that, or like you can really smell the galiyan. And I don't want to smell any galiyan when I'm watching I don't want to be there. I like, me, man, if all movies were shot in Dubai with I watched Fast and the Furious 7. They were like jumping a Bugatti from one window to the other. I was like, yeah, wow, kya movie hai, kya acting kar raha hai,
I can smell the desert.
Yeah, that's what. So, but if you are into
so exactly that's what I thought when I was watching Gulabo Sitabo. I was like, now I realize why Asim doesn't like Oi Lucky Lucky Oi.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. This for everybody who doesn't understand it, watch this movie now. You'll get it. But yeah, it's and like I was also like reading the reviews, and I was like, am I dumb? Do I not get what? You know what I mean? Like, they're seeing so much in it, and I'm not seeing any of that. Like, I think somebody was mentioning it's about it's a criticism against patriarchy, and I was like, what? How? Like, how is this a criticism against patriarchy? Because you have one girl who it's a girl that was playing Alina in Gully Boy. Remember Alina, who's trying to take Murad from Alia, and she beats her up. So it's that actress. Yeah. She's playing Ayushman's sister, and she's quite like a spunky Lucknow ki, shalwar mein sabko insult kar deti hai, that kind of ladki, but very smart. And I watched it and I was like, this is an amazing character. I wish there was more of it in the movie, and there's not. But that this is some sort of way of criticizing patriarchy, I didn't get that. I was like, is it about how we take care of our history? Is it about how we take care of our elders? Is it our elders are our history? I was getting this, but I was like, maybe it's just about how smelly Lucknow is. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. There was no.
I think there are some glimpses of humor. That's the only bit that I got. Like when Amitabh just sneaks in at the night to get the fingerprints, and then he got the wrong fingerprints, and then when he comes back, Begum has the bandages, and she's like, she pulls her hands up. It was a perfectly done scene, but that was the only bit that I can remember. I pretty much don't remember the movie, and I watched it on Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it takes its time, man. Like, in this world where I think it might actually work well in a cinema because you see the images of the city much better, and it's beautifully shot, by the way. It's it's really pretty.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the dirty.
Yeah, that was I was thinking the format change might have been a big challenge for it because it was obviously intended to be released in cinemas. And I think moving to an OTT platform and streaming it on Amazon Prime, it just, there's 110 million distractions available for you. You can do anything whilst you're watching this movie, and that probably mars the joy of this movie, I guess.
Yeah, and
so do you think, having watched this film, like, do you think it worked? So you're saying, like, it would have been better as a release than as a digital release? Because it's the other way around when we are discussing movies, right? Like, we are like, why did this get a release? It should have been on a streaming platform. But you're saying it's the other way around for this one.
I think this movie demands more attention out of the audience, so I think it would have done better in a cinema where you are literally left just the screen exposed to you and you have to soak in the environment otherwise. But I don't know if an Amitabh and Ayushmann movie is warranting enough for people to actually go to the cinemas and watch it at the cinema. It's not an event movie, right?
It's a tough one, but because it's a movie that demands your attention. So at home, you have a tendency to go get a sandwich or, go on your phone and check social media. And that would then hurt what the movie wants because it really wants you. It's really moving at a slow pace. But it's beautiful. So you kind of want to watch it on a big screen. But if this was showing on a big screen, I would not go. I would not, like when we saw the trailer, right? You know what I mean? Like when we saw the trailer, I was like, I'm not interested in this. So I would have not gone anyway. And I think a lot of people that would have gone to watch Amitabh and Ayushmann, they would come back and say, "Ye kya chutiyaapa tha? Why did we waste 2 hours of our time and that much money?" So it's kind of like a movie to maybe watch in the Curzon and like 5 people are like watching it with like turtlenecks on and berets and like, discussing mise en frame after
all the Anton Negos with their,
Yeah. Oh. And I feel I'm like sounding like KRK. Like, like the way like I'm talking about this movie.
Yeah, movie 2 rupees ki movie hai.
yeah. But I get KRK. I don't get what Shujit Sarkar and Juhi Chaturvedi are trying to do. Like, I didn't get it in October and I don't get it in this. So like I'm at least I get what KRK wants. I don't know what these other 2 guys want from us. So I think that's where I'm kind of like disconnected with it. Yeah. Like gandagi itni saaf sutri nazar aati hai, like it's so clear how dirty everything is. Like when they're like in that toilet, I could smell the wafts of shit. Like it was like, I was actually gagging. It was quite bad. Yeah. You did a good one, Amrita, not watching it. I think we watched it because they were, like we said, ghar pe hai, like there's nothing else to watch anyway. Maybe it's good, hopefully, and then #content, we wanted to watch it for the show, I guess, at least me. And it didn't go well. It didn't go well.
Oh, you guys didn't watch that 365 DNI thing?
No.
On Netflix?
No, like I saw,
I feel like
people,
everybody was watching it.
Like, is it like, I don't know if I'm the audience for it. Am I?
I don't think so. I don't know who it basically, like I was telling people, I haven't watched it yet, but I will at some point. But it sounds like fan fiction come to life, It's basically some weird gender dynamics with a lot of softcore sex in it. So I'm just like, what? And of course, it's doing really well in India because, of course, it is.
It's 2020. What is softcore porn? Like what is softcore porn anyway? Like, Anyway.
It's when you have like gentle music in the background rather than like hard music.
Yeah. We were born in the 90s. We are used to tip barsa pani to be our box standard,
Yeah. Because we had did you guys have Red Shoe Diaries? Remember Red Shoe Diaries? No, you guys don't.
Yeah.
Remember there was David Duchovny's sex diaries, and there was a lot of saxophone and floating curtains, and that was soft porn, I guess. But I don't know if this one is I saw people like put images suddenly on my like Twitter timeline. I was like, this is not for me. Quickly, did you guys see that tweet of the movies that are coming out on streaming very soon? The Disney Hotstar.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of them. Yeah, there's Lakshmi Bomb by Akshay.
There's Big Bull. So there's Lakshmi Bomb. There's Big Bull with Abhishek. There's Bhuj, the Pride of India. Bhuj, I don't know, with Ajay Devgan.
Bhuj.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sadak 2. Shiddats. And sadly enough, I also saw Sushant Singh Dil Bechara was on there too. Yeah. So those are like, and they're all on Disney Hotstar. So I'm not even sure if we will be able to. Can we see them outside of India? And isn't that like a big thing? Like, isn't that a big issue if they're all going to be on this exclusive platform only in India? Isn't that like a weird choice to make? Or are they just shelling out more money?
But it's really expensive.
Yeah, Hotstar is, they've reduced the price here because in India it comes as a collective with Disney Plus, right? And we have Disney Plus separately here. And Hotstar, I think they've now reduced their price to, I think, 50 quid a year or something like that.
Jeez, that's still too much.
Okay.
That's almost the same as I paid for Disney Plus.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, it also doesn't make sense, right? If you have the package with Disney together, then why? Yeah, it's. It was funny because this news was kind of rumbling for a while, like, you know, some biggies are coming to OTT and this and that. I was reading about it, and then I saw the list and I was like, not biggies, are they? Like, none of these movies. I don't know, nothing.
I mean, it's Akshay and Ajay and stuff, right? So yeah, I guess it does qualify as biggies.
Yeah, I don't know. I thought Radhe was going to be there. Like, I mean, like Salman, like that's a biggie, you know, like maybe the next Takht is a biggie. I don't know.
Amir movie, maybe.
Yeah, Big Bull. I don't know if Big Bull is like a biggie in any way, you know, like, I don't know.
I had entirely forgotten that Abhishek is making Big Bull. Like, that wasn't even on my
Is that the Harshad Mehta movie, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
What's that about? I don't
I
even
knew
know.
he was doing it. There was this guy that like scammed, you know, the
stock market.
Stock market, yeah. I was like, stock exchange, and I was like, that's not right. Yeah, stock market. That makes sense. And it was like the big, it was the first big scam of like liberalized India in the 90s. So everyone was talking about it at the time. So I guess he's gonna play Harshad Mehta.
Okay. But he's also starring in Breathe Season 2, which I'm actually weirdly more excited about. That seems to be, like, I like the idea of him going into streaming. And I'm also happy just to see Abhishek more on screen. I've always liked the guy, and maybe he can, like, you know, get back into the flow of things.
Yeah.
I also wasn't aware that Sadak was actually directed by Mahesh Bhatt. Like, he's kind of like, you know, he hasn't made a movie in like years, and he's decided to remake, like, follow up Sadak, which I do not understand its choice whatsoever.
That's just Vishesh Films, isn't it? They'll just take up the title next to it and then make a totally different movie and just call it a franchise.
Yeah.
Spiritual successor.
But it's the same cast. Like, Pooja Bhatt is in it. Pooja Bhatt hasn't acted in years. Like, you know, it probably is like some sort of follow-up. And I imagine
Sadak is like a weird film to like... Like, why would you do that to your daughter in the first place? Much less make it to like two of your daughters. Like, what the hell is wrong with you?
Yeah. So is Alia going to be playing Pooja's daughter in, like, timeline-wise? Like, how is that going to... Like, what are they trying to do even?
I don't know.
It's not even going to be connected to the original Sadak.
Is it not?
I don't think so. That's how Vishesh Films roll, right?
I mean, if they brought back Sadashiv Amrapurkar as like, you know, a trans woman in like 2020, I apart from the logistics of it, like what was the name of the character?
Maharani.
Rani, right? Or something? Maharani. Yeah. Like, Maharani is not a character that is like 2020 friendly. Like, it would literally, like, Twitter would have a meltdown if that happened. So, yeah. I don't know what kind of mess this movie is gonna be.
Yeah. At least the music is gonna be good. Like, I don't know. I have more excitement for the music than, like, the movie itself. It's just a weird choice. That whole thing is a weird choice.
Yeah.
I don't know. But there's lots coming. Like, even Shakuntala Devi is going to be dropping soon. So, I don't know. I don't know if... It just still feels like they're scamming these OTT platforms. Like, these filmmakers, like, just dumping their, like, mediocre content.
Yeah, we still have got to see, like, something really extraordinary from Indian content providers, you know, and the movie houses.
Yeah. Any that you're excited about or curious about, Amrita? Like, this Shiddat, what was, like, I feel I've heard about Shiddat a lot.
Yeah, what is that?
It's
Who's in it?
Dinesh Vijan. It's with
Yeah.
I'm seeing Kriti Sanon on the picture. And Journey Beyond Love. I don't know what this is. It's a multi-star it's a multi-star love story with Sunny Kaushal, Radhika Madan, Mohit Raina, Diana Penty in the lead roles. So there's not much known about it seems. Yeah,
Sunny Kaushal is Vicky Kaushal's brother.
Yeah. That's the only thing I know about him.
Yeah, I don't think you need to answer the question, Amrita. I know where you stand. That I've read what I've read.
Can I quickly plug this movie called Axone from Netflix?
Yes,
I saw it yesterday. I really needed something to, you know, take my mind off the events that are happening around the world. And I was recommended to this beautiful movie by a friend of mine, and it's directed by a Delhi-based director called Nicholas Kharkongor. And it stars a bunch of actors from the northeastern part of India, including Lynn Lysholm and Shani Gupta. And it almost plays like a heist movie. It's basically about a bunch of friends who live in Delhi who are from different parts of the northeastern part of India. And they come together as a family and they are trying to organize this event for their friend's wedding. And they are trying to cook this special dish, which has the secret ingredient is Axone, which is fermented soybeans, and it is infamous for its pungent smell. And it just goes from being a heist movie about this friends trying to prepare this dish around this, I think, West Delhi neighborhood where, you know, they go through a lot of prejudice from their neighbors and landlords and everybody who is in that area. And it goes from that to sort of exposing the bigotry that exists in India towards people from the Northeast and how we are sort of viewed as outsiders within our own country. But it also explores, you know, other themes like complications within friendships and how within our own group of Northeastern people, we sort of view each other as a bit different as well. So that all, I just couldn't believe that this movie would do justice to all these mini pieces and string them together into such a wholesome movie. It just came together really, really well. And I think if you would like just a lighthearted movie and learn a little bit about these people, and it also derives from a real life incident where a boy from Arunachal Pradesh called Nido was basically mob lynched just because he had blonde hair in Delhi and he was killed. It kind of has a tribute sub-storyline in this movie as well. So it's a beautiful movie and I think people should check it out.
I also want to say that, you know, this movie's been getting like really rave reviews and everybody's been talking about it. So yeah, you should check it out. It's on Netflix.
And by the way, I would just like to also add that if you're an idiot like me, it's spelled Axone. So it just because if you try any other spelling, it's not gonna work, and so it's Axone. But we'll add it in the show notes because I would not have been able to find it by calling it Okoni or Okone. So I'm just saying it's
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I actually saw this flash. Have you noticed, like in Netflix, they sometimes change the image of a movie. So one time you'll see it with this thing, and then the week after you'll see it with another image. And they kind of do these A/B testing, what's gonna appeal a certain personality to click on it. And like, I'm checking on my phone and I'm seeing Sayani Gupta with like a modern kind of dress on. And when I was watching it yesterday on my screen, on my TV, she had like a traditional, she was getting married or something like that on the thumbnail of it. And it's just weird that I would not have, because I didn't remember the name of it, I might have not known how to find that movie again just because, Netflix changes its thumbnails all the time. So, Axone. Amrita, have you been watching anything? What have you been doing the whole week?
क्या किया तुमने? बता.
I actually watched. So I'm supposed to go on the Other Banana podcast again. They're doing like this series about movie adaptations. So they're doing the episode that I'm doing is While You Were Sleeping, the Sandra Bullock movie. And
did you watch Har Dil Jo Pyar Karega as well then?
No. But it was remade into Malayalam with Mohanlal. And it's called Chandralekha. And then it became this huge hit. And then that was remade into several other languages, including Hindi. And that's a movie that really holds up. So I'll be talking about that and I'll let you all know when that happens. And then also I introduced Beth to Asli Nakli, which is this old Devanand movie with Sadhana. And it's one of my favorites. I hadn't watched it in a very long time and has amazing music. And if you want like old world charm, then I really recommend it. You can find like copies pretty much everywhere, like including YouTube, but I don't know about subtitles. So I recommend that. And then apart from that, I watched Inside Man again, the Spike Lee movie, which holds up.
So
and
good. Yeah.
It's still as fun as it was when it first came out.
Yeah.
That's
I'm
all
really
things
excited
that I watched.
for The Five Bloods. If Gulabo hadn't come up, like I would have watched that instead. And I love when he's like in that energetic flow. Spike Lee he's like one of my favorite directors. And sometimes he just goes like totally, I can't connect at all with like what he's trying to say. But when I feel like after Black Klansman, he's kind of in that groove again too. Almost like makes Scorsese type movies, like, like something that you can really connect with and it's very kinetic. And,
Black Klansman was just like bang, 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 one after the other. It was so, I know, the energy was so frenetic in that movie.
Yeah.
I'm still got to watch The Five Bloods. I wanted to, but things happened this week. So probably I'll catch it today or tomorrow maybe.
Yeah. But it's also going to hit Netflix quite soon. I saw it's on Netflix because like they put like a list of movies that are releasing soon. And
it's already out.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I might do a rewatch then. I actually I was going through Prime, and actually they have lots of these old ass movies that you guys watch. So I added like Pyasa and all that, like Kagaz Ke Phool on my list. I was like,
they have tons of Bollywood, tons of old school Bollywood movies. Yeah.
So I was like, I'll add some old ass movies on my list and see if I can get through 20 minutes of them and see what happens. So yeah, I added like Kagaz Ke Phool and something with the...
if you can actually watch Kagaz Ki Phool, I'll be like, who are you? I'll be like, ये कौन है? क्योंकि ये तो Asim नहीं है.
I think I would surprise you. Like I would be like the thing is I don't like. I do try to engage with the movie when I'm actually decided that I'm gonna watch it. I don't like ye kya chutiya pa hai the whole time, but it does. I need to be in the right mood. So the first step was adding these and finding them, and I was like, yeah, Pyasa. I've heard that that's like something people like. So I got that, and there's something with Asha Parekh, and I was like, I don't think I've ever seen an Asha Parekh movie, so added that too. Yeah, I don't think I have. Like, yeah.
Oh my God, Asim, I have to. Okay, I'll send you a list because you have to watch like the Nasir Hussain movies that Asha was in. Like like with Shami and like Teesri Manzil would be absolutely up your street. Like I think like you would enjoy it so much. It's Shami and it's Asha Parekh and it's like a murder mystery and it's got like like all this kind of like masala stuff and it's amazing music and it's so much fun. Yeah, like you'd really like it.
I think it was like I was watching something and I ended up with like the Pyar Deewana Hota Hai from Kati Patang on my YouTube feed. And then it connected with my Amazon and then these things started popping up and then I think I even added Kati Patang on it. So that,
Kati Patang. Sorry,
that's
Asim.
how much
I am
Asim
making fun of your accent now.
It's okay.
This whole week has been people making fun of our accents and now I'm making fun of your accent.
But Kati Patang is also like a really good movie. Like that's also like, it's got like all this stuff going on. And I feel like Isa would also like really enjoy because it's like there are like so many like like movies like that which are like really old but they're really fun because they're like proto-formulaic. So it's like like
but
you see
it's like the genesis of the formula, right?
Yeah. Like like if you watch, I don't know if you've watched Blackmail with Dharmendra and Rakhi, but it's like they have like a formula and it must be stolen and then they have to try and save it and stuff like that. But it's so pretty, like Dharmendra and Rakhi are so pretty together and it's so enjoyable and like Shatrughan Sinha is the villain and it's so much fun. Like I love like movies like that.
But when did you guys watch these old ass movies? Like that's my question. Like because these are before your time even. Like when did you watch them? Why were you not watching like Sridevi and like Rajnikant and like Amitabh?
We watched
like
both.
Yeah. Because I think for me, obviously, there's a gap because I didn't have access to any of these, right? Like whatever was coming on VHS, I would watch, and those used to be, new movies. And then there's also just the lack of still access, right? You cannot get a good print of certain movies with subtitles or things like that. So I'm like, when are you watching these old ass movies? Like, did you get them like on VHS? Was they on TV? Like, how did you watch them?
Mix of both.
Yeah. Like they were like on cable, like I've told you this before, right? Like we had like a neighborhood channel, like an in-house channel sort of a thing. And so the guy that owned the video store used to run it, and he would just put in like whatever movie that he had and he felt like watching, and so we'd watch all kinds of things on it. And I'm pretty sure it's illegal and it counts as piracy, but this was 90s India, so nobody cared. And yeah, I don't know. And my parents are older, so they watched all these movies and they thought it was like, it was lovely or whatever. So, and mom was like a huge Dev Anand fan and then a huge Rajesh Khanna fan. So we watched all their films in our house and stuff like that.
Because
here I was just watching Uttam Suchitra movies.
I've seen those too, like, but that is like more recent. That's because like Beth and I watched them.
That was a conscious choice, not thrown at you. Unlike me,
because my dad is a huge Dilip Kumar fan, and he would watch some movies, and then I would just go play. I would not watch the movie. Like that's I don't know why.
yeah, you were brighter than us. That's why you didn't watch these movies. But yeah, but like, I don't know, like I really enjoy them. Like it's not like I didn't. I think like if I was bored, I would probably not have sat around and watched it. But I genuinely like those movies. That's some good cinema,
That's some good shit.
Yeah.
Cool. I think we're done now. An hour.
Why don't you talk about Kireedam and then we call it a day?
Yeah. I mean, as a follow-up, right? Like this, I don't think we do this a lot, but like we had a conversation about Jackie Shroff the other 2 episodes ago, and then you popped my bubble that Gardish is actually a remake, which I kind of thought it was, but I didn't know it was. And then I found it on Prime, weirdly enough, which honestly I had to put some effort into finding it. Like, I don't know how I got there, it's like Zelda.
But did you feel a sense of achievement that you found the movie on Amazon Prime?
I did.
Maine kar diya ma.
Yeah, and then it's also the fact that you try it and then it's like, print kaisa hoga, does it have subtitles, like how good are the subtitles? So there's a few levels and hurdles you need to cross when you watch a movie on Prime. And because there was another one I saw, it was a really famous one from with the Rajnikant, and I don't know the name. I start with a TH something.
Talapati.
Is that with 2 actors in it? Like Rajnikant and the somebody else?
Mammootty is in it.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
And I lasted like 15 minutes because the print was so shit. And I really actually wanted to watch that movie, but it was so
That's
anyway.
a great movie, but we need the remastered print.
Yeah, because there were also like a lot of fights and action scenes in the dark and in the night, and I couldn't see anything. So I skipped that, but that's why I tried I said, okay, let's give it a shot. And I don't like it more than Gardish. And I know this movie is held like in very, very high regard because I did a bit of research like afterwards, like that this was the first one and then it got remade in like lots of languages. And Gardish was one of the last one, not the last one. They remade it, I think, two times more after that in other languages. And, but it was interesting seeing the differences, and I like that. I like watching remakes of movies and then going back to the original one and comparing it. I think what really works in the original for me is the father-son relationship, because they really have love for each other, and I think that was so sweet in Kireedam, which is not there in Gardish. Amrish Puri is just like the angry patriarch of the family. He's pretty much, Balvinder Singh or whatever else he does. He has no connection with Jackie as a son. He just wants him to be the police officer, and that's it. Where I felt in Kireedam, there was a lot more softness in the actors, and like it really felt like a family unit, which Gardish didn't have. Also, there were a few aspects that I didn't understand. Like, was he marrying his cousin in Kireedam, or didn't like they seem to be sharing a nani?
I can't remember because I haven't seen it since it came out, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was, because they do marry cousins.
Oh, I didn't even know that. Okay. So connection with Pakistan over there. So I was like, I didn't know. I didn't know if it was a bad translation or like I didn't understand something. So I was like, okay, so there's a difference. And I also like the fact that if they were that, they really knew each other. Like the love story was that they knew each other from childhood, and then when they actually break up, it gets to you, right? Like the tragedy of it, because they were meant to be together. Yeah. Whereas in Gardish, when they break up, they just met. It was an arranged marriage, and it goes away. But what I really still love about Gardish is the cinematography, which I feel is like it's Sabu Cyril that did it, and it's amazing the way that movie looks. Also just the scale of the battles and that fight sequences, where Kireedam is much more like just like people like in a square like fighting. I know it's supposed to be natural, but it just seemed ridiculous to me. And I think when you were talking about it, I was saying that I needed Jackie's physicality. And I know he's a wrestler. It just looks ridiculous to me. It doesn't look like a decent fight scene whatsoever. This is stupid. I really felt it was a stupid fight scene.
By the way, Sabu Cyril is the production designer, and cinematography of Gardish was done by Santosh Sivan.
Oh, sorry. So, and again, that it shows, like, those names mean something, right? And that wasn't there in Kireedam. But also, it's like, you have the advantage of time. Like, Gardish came quite a few years later. And you have also the advantage of a budget, right? So, those things. And the other thing is also, like I said it in the Gardish review, Billa Jilani, the villain, he's just like a towering presence, which I do not feel happens in Kireedam. Again, it just, like those aspects, just like that, the culmination, like I feel the fight scenes in Gardish just take your breath away. And then also the last speech that Amrish Puri and Jackie Shroff gives, and it's a bit over dramatic, like, you know, like who gave this knife who gave this axe in my hand, and I didn't want, and I know that for some people that might not work, but it really still works for me. And when Amrish Puri is saying, you know, your father is saying, let go of the axe, please, it's your father. And it's the same dialogue in Kireedam, but because, like, Mohanlal just drops the axe or the steel rod, and then he just kind of cries in anguish, whereas Jackie gives this speech, he's like all bloodied up. And I think that's just my Bollywood sentimentality, where it needs to be a bit bigger. But I also think that there's something that's lost in reading subtitles, where if it's your own language, it just hits you differently. And it was just something that I was kind of thinking of, that, you know, we have so many friends.
Yeah, you totally miss the like subtext of it, right? You just reading whatever is written rather than understanding the wholeness of it.
Yeah. And it like, we have so many friends that do watch Bollywood and Hindi cinema with subtitles, and I'm so happy that they get so much out of it, but you also still miss a factor of it. Like, you know, I know Mohanlal as an actor. I've seen him before. I've seen South Indian movies, but it hits you differently when it's your own language. That the tremble in your in Amrish Puri's voice, and you told me, Amrita, how good of an actor the father is, and because I was focused on the subtitles, I just missed that part of the performance to a certain degree. And I also just really like Gardish. So I hope I'm not offended, like anybody, because I know how important this for people is, and like this movie is for people. And I think it was also kind of like it broke the mold, right? At that time when it came out, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was like a part of this really like golden period for Mohanlal, because he was like, in the 80s he was really famous for his comedies, and then in the 90s he made all these dramatic movies, and like each one was better than the last and completely different. Although he was also doing comedies at the time, but like the 90s ones were like really, what I remember are the dramatic movies. Right. So those are like legendary in Malayalam. But the thing is, like, yeah, what you said is right. Like, you know, like language is a very specific part of the movie going experience, and the way that you use it and the way that you connect to it. And then when you fall in love with a certain version of a film, that's going to be your favorite version, no matter how good the other versions are, you know? Like, there are plenty of movies that we first met in Bollywood, which were, you know, copies of, say, Hollywood films. And although the Hollywood ones might have been better or had, like, more of a budget or whatever, the fact that we fell in love with it in Hindi, like, we connect to that more than anything else. So it really, what you're saying makes perfect sense to me.
Does not stand true for Sanjay Gupta remakes, though. Like,
no. That is totally different.
We wash off our hands from that responsibility. We did not make that sentence. If you like Sanjay Gupta movies over the originals, we don't want to associate with you.
No.
But it's also just funny, because I was also just searching the hashtag on Twitter and stuff like that, and it's people hold on to the one that they love, and they cannot see the good sides of the remake. Like, a few people were like, "Oh, GARDISH messed this part up," but GARDISH also added a lot of things that were really, really good, and because people love that, the original version, or there's a version with Ajit, I think. There's I think that's the Tamil version, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and they love that version, and because they love that actor, so it's just interesting that people are kind of locked into their position and they cannot see beyond that, right? So I was even going to YouTube and seeing. Watching the final scene of the breakdown in all different versions. So I really I really kind of checked out, like, I did a bit of investigative journalism to see how it was. And I still maintain I still like GARDISH, but I enjoyed watching Kireedam. I did really enjoy it, and I got something new out of it. So that was really cool. So I'll definitely watch Lucifer very soon then. Cool. Shall we wrap it up? Amrita, where can people find you online?
You can find me on Twitter at AmritaIQ, and I also have my YouTube channel, Amrita by the Book, with new episodes uploaded every week.
What are you doing this week?
This week is a continuation of my series reads, but this time it's on contemporary romance. And then I'm also going to be doing a little thing about Perry Mason, which is this HBO show that's coming up. But I'm going to be talking about the source material.
Nice. Sujoy, where can people find you online?
I'm on Twitter and Instagram at 9E3K.
And you also have more footage of the riots yesterday. You're going to be posting that, or you already did?
I don't know. I have some pictures, but that's about it. I don't know if I want to or not. It's just maybe, I don't know. Yeah. Possibly.
Yeah, and I'm at Asim Bernie. You can drop us an email at youpodcasting@gmail.com. I was also on the BBC talking about I think I was talking about Black Lives Matter in Bollywood. I'll add the link. It was on Tuesday, but it's only for UK listeners. Anybody, not everybody can listen. And honestly, it wasn't a great conversation either. So it was really, really messy. But I'll add the link if people have listened to me or want to listen to me. And drop us a review on Apple Podcasts or heart us on Geo7. And guys, thanks for listening.
Khandaan podcast और एक्टिंग